All right, so placing my hands on my heart, taking in that deep, cleansing, centering, balancing, grounding breath, a breath of love and gratitude. Grateful to allow ourselves this time together to energize each other, to support each other, to witness each other, to hold the truth of and for each other. We're grateful for the teachings of Jesus and our willingness and desire to live the teachings. We're not interested in just reading and memorizing anything. We're interested in applying it to our lives and being a demonstration of love for ourselves first and foremost, and for all others, because we know that there is only one, that we are one with each other, that we are one with God. And so we declare that we know in every cell, fiber, and function of our being that there is no separation. And we ask for all forms of mighty companions, which are all within us, to remind us of that in each and every moment, to lift us up to the highest vibration that we can stand in these physical beings at this time, and to allow us to have a deep and nourishing conversation, a healing conversation that we get to share the benefits of with everyone, because we are one. In grace and gratitude, we let it be. And so it is. Amen. So we are still in the Manual for Teachers. Today we are covering honesty, tolerance, gentleness, and joy. Just beautiful. All of these felt so beautiful to read. And so I'm going to start us with the first paragraph in honesty. All other traits of God's teachers rest on trust. Once that has been achieved, the others cannot fail to follow. Only the trusting can afford honesty, for only they can see its value. Honesty does not apply only to what you say. The term actually means consistency. There is nothing you say that contradicts what you think or do. No thought opposes any other thought. No act belies your word, and no word lacks agreement with another. Such are the truly honest. At no level are they in conflict with themselves. Therefore, it is impossible for them to be in conflict with anyone or anything. So this is one of the things that I have had in my contract for this year, is to align the way of my being with the truth of my being. And so that, I feel like that is what this is talking about. And being willing to let go of any ideas or thoughts or judgments or opinions that I have, that anything anyone is doing, including myself, is good or bad, right or wrong, helpful or not helpful. Because I cannot see in all dimensions and all directions of time and space. So what I know is that every stinking thing is helpful, that everything is working for my good. And when I am willing to claim that, to declare that, to embody that, then everything that is happening exactly as it's supposed to. It can be no other way, even if it sucks. Even if it sucks. And it's okay if it sucks. We can admit it, I'm not enjoying this right now, but that's okay. I know it's for my good. I'm claiming it for my good. And I am determined to see the good that is encoded in this. So that's where I'm starting us off at. Who else would like to share? Go ahead, Leslie.
Thanks, Linda. Hi, everybody. I just will continue with the next paragraph, which is tolerance. God's teachers do not judge. To judge is to be dishonest, for to judge is to assume a position you do not have. Judgment implies a lack of trust, and trust remains the bedrock to the teacher of God's whole thought system. Without judgment, are all things equally acceptable? For who could judge otherwise? Judgment destroys honesty and shatters trust. No teacher of God can judge and hope to learn. And that's just what you were just talking about, Linda, that it's not that we can't judge. It's impossible to see through all, and that whenever I find myself judging, it kind of makes me laugh because it's just so ridiculous. I cannot possibly know what's in the best interest of somebody else. So I'm really glad that tolerance section was in the characteristics of teachers.
And thank you, Leslie. I agree. We don't even know what's best for ourselves. We don't even know what will make us happy. So, yeah. Thank you. Who else would like to share? Go ahead, Grace.
Hi, everybody. It's so great to see you. I've been thinking a lot about honesty recently, and Jennifer talks about it a lot as well. And so I've been watching every word and thinking about, have I used the best word for this? And being very, very careful. And I noticed I am not 100% honest. That's not a nice thing to see about yourself, but I'm glad I saw it because now I'm being very careful to be honest, of course, not hurting people's feelings or anything like that, mostly being honest with myself. So I'm not there completely. I noticed how I slipped up last week. I was coming out of the supermarket and it was snowing and very slippery on the ground. And I was loading my stuff into the car and I noticed I had a bottle of water down in the bottom section of the cart. And I hadn't paid for it. I hadn't seen it. And I thought, I'm not going to go back into the store and break my neck over a $1 bottle of water. Well, is that honest? So I was at the supermarket again a couple of days ago since I started watching if my behavior and my honesty is in alignment with what my goals are. And I get to the car and there was this little thing that the checker hadn't seen. So I thought, oh, blimey. Now I've got to go through that blooming snow and ice and go back into the store with it. So I went back into the store with it and I also picked up some tomatoes, and then I suddenly remembered I had to return a couple of things. So it was Sunday night and there wasn't the usual person there. And there was this young guy, I think he was the manager, but he was like very quick on deciding, no messing about. And I got to the checkout and I said to him, there's no price on this, and we didn't check it out. So he looked at it and he said, oh, I'll give it you for $1. And then I gave him the tomatoes and he's tried to look them up. And I said, no, they're organic. He says, no, I'm going to give you them for non-organic. And then I said, I got these 2 ricotta cheeses I brought back in. I would not open the bag if I were you, but they haven't supposed to have expired. And he said, I'm going to get you 2 more and just do a straight swap. He didn't look at the receipt, nothing. So I thought, wow, this honesty gig really is working. Anyway, silly story, but it was funny. It made me laugh because this thing he gave me for $1 must have been worth at least $10. And I got my 2 ricotta cheeses and he gave me my tomatoes. Anyway, I felt the reinforcement and I'm still not completely there, but I'm aware of being honest and telling the truth.
What a beautiful demonstration, Grace. Thank you for that. It reminds me of Leslie's lettuce story. It's something, it seems so simple, but oh my gosh, absolutely demonstrating exactly what we needed to know. Gwen, and then Kathleen.
Thank you. That's a great thought, Grace. I'm going to have to pay attention to that because I'm heavily sitting in this words and judgment. And I could hardly read this last night because I feel like I said something and I'm looking at what I said. I'm like, well, this wasn't really nasty. I didn't think I was attacking, though perhaps my partner did. So I feel like I just had the most profound experience in my entire life taken from me. And there's no way that there's not space for a response because I am totally blocked. I'm sure, some in a sense, really from any kind of communication or any response. And what do you do with that? So it's like I'm heavily judging myself for something that I felt wasn't unkind. And this person knows me and they know that I'm not someone that is hurtfully intentional with any kind of hurt. And I just feel like, God, where was the understanding and the love and the kindness that was supposed to be there? So this is reading is a really good one. And I just got a message. My uncle died. So just now. So I am like, I really need to sit with this and I'm just going to listen to what everybody has to offer today because I think that'll really help me. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen. I'm so sorry, honey. I'm really so sorry. And honestly, if, the whole idea of being blocked, we're one. So you have that conversation out loud with your sweetie and just know that it's going to get to him, that the angels will carry it from your breath to his ear. And if it's supposed to be, it will be. Yeah, you're welcome. Kathleen.
Thanks, Gwen, for sharing your feelings. And Linda, for saying that you affirm that everything that happens to you, is the Holy Spirit. And well, I just first of all wanted to read the little sub thing description in the Circle of Atonement's book on honesty. It says even in ordinary English, the word honesty applies to more than what you say. It also refers to uprightness of character, moral virtue. Indeed, an important synonym is integrity, which means both the quality of being honest and the state of being cohesive and whole. This combination is actually quite close to honesty as described in the above paragraph, in which the entire constellation of one's thoughts, words, and deeds is thoroughly consistent and cohesive. As used here then, honesty refers to a kind of ultra integrity. So, and I know all of us, when we read through all of this, can see ourselves over and over. And when I read that, I keep reading the part about trust again, and I know I'm early in that process, that period of undoing. I know I'm still in the period of undoing, and realizing that anything that's taken away from me is really valueless, and that what is left, is hopefully what the Holy Spirit wants me to do. But I'm still just early in the process of waiting to hear what the Holy Spirit wants me to do next. You just go off and do whatever I want to do. And makes me gasp when I read how important it is to trust, because you can't be honest without trust, and we can't be kind unless we trust. And so when I was just calling to make an appointment for the doctor yesterday, I was really kind of bitchy. Like, really, you want me to do this lab again? I've done it twice. Where's the blood sample going? Why do I have to do it for the third time? And then I read all this. I'm like, whoa, I'm not seeing the Holy Spirit's view. I'm not talking to this person as if they're a son of God. I'm not valuing myself. So all of this section is like, woo, it's just like constant input about what to do next, just to relax and be kind and have integrity. And Grace, your example of taking things back in the store. Oh my gosh, I have had stuff that I haven't paid for. I just like, oh, it's a gift from the universe, So it's cool that when you went back in, really cool things happen. So anyway, it's just all beautiful, all this great stuff. All of it's great. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Kathleen. And it can feel so like in your face, right? It can feel like while I'm reading this, like Jesus is pointing out everything that I am doing wrong. And so when I read it that way, what I know is if I'm judging myself that way, then what he's really telling me is, if you really feel like you're doing it wrong, make a higher choice. And in the meantime, love yourself. Love yourself exactly where you are, exactly if you're bitchy, if you're complaining, if you're whining, if you're angry or sad, just love yourself exactly where and as you are in that moment, because all of those things, all of that sense of anger and frustration and bitchiness, and it's a cry for love. It's a cry for love. So if I'm the one that's feeling complainy or bitchy, it's because I'm the one that needs the love right now. And so love myself, because there's only one. Yeah.
And I would say that concept of consistency is so important, and it's important to trust, because when you meet somebody and you just don't feel like something's right, it's usually because their behavior isn't consistent with their words. And another word for that is congruency.
Yes. Exactly, Deborah. Yeah.
And I would even venture to say that there's a physiological component to it, that, you can talk about brainwaves, and brainwaves can become coherent when everything is consistent. So I think there's a benefit in that respect to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And your brothers are a reflection of you. So if that's what I'm feeling, it's like, where am I not being consistent or congruent in myself, with myself?
Yeah, I mean, and it just came to mind as I was starting to talk, like my sister, who recently passed away. I mean, she used to drive around with a peace bumper sticker on her car, but she had no qualms about going around and flipping people off and yelling at them and stuff with her peace bumper sticker.
Yeah, exactly. And we're all that sometimes. We're all that. peace bumper sticker with the bird. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that, Deborah. Robin.
You're welcome.
Thanks. I think we're all, it's just so nice to see everybody, and thanks everybody too. And this lesson was so sweet. And what I'm noticing, and I think for all of us, is we are familiar and we have the information about love and compassion to ourselves, but practicing it, I mean, I feel like I'm a toddler or something. I've been doing this for years. I've been hearing it, but now I want to live it. And so I've got two thoughts, one about being honest and this that rose up as I was listening to everyone. And we so yearn to, I've forgotten exactly what I'm talking about. So this is the idea of living, being kind and compassionate. And I'm noticing something will happen and I'll get upset and I'll try to step back. But then I'm like, you're not loving yourself right now. You're skipping something here. And we are here and we are practicing and we are stopping to say, wait a minute, this is a time for me to make an intention and pay attention to when I get upset, that I say that I do love. That's like the biggest lesson. So I'm always making these stupid mistakes and it's so embarrassing and frustrating, but I'm being able to say, okay, let's love yourself instead of continuing to say how bad you are. So I guess I'll be making more mistakes until and God knows how long that'll take. But at least we have this awareness that we really want to live it and we don't want to forget. It's just primary that are vital, that we really pause long enough to do that kindness and that loving to ourselves. So I'm just sharing that because I feel like that's what we're practicing, or that's what our hearts desire. We may not have started practicing it, but that we all have we all are there knowing that's the place to be. I've said enough. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Robin. Everything you say is always so helpful. And what came to my mind while you were sharing that was, it feels like we've been doing this forever and we should have it by now. But even the 12 apostles that were following Jesus around all that time still flubbed up once in a while. So, you know what? If St. Peter, St. Paul, St. John can fall asleep when Jesus asks them to stay awake, then, if I forget and complain or, get angry or whatever, it's okay. It's okay. Again, just love ourselves more through it. Yeah. Thank you, Robin. Who do we have on iPhone 17? Go right ahead.
It could be me, Mitzi.
It is you.
Oh, okay. Great.
Is this Christy?
Huh?
Is this Christy?
Mitzi?
Oh, it's
Mitzi.
Mitzi. Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't really know how to make my phone go to a different speaking mode, but
Okay.
so good to see everyone and hear your voices and hear your reflections. And I just want to say that I kind of find myself in various levels. Sometimes, I act out and I feel bad about myself. Sometimes I act out and I don't feel bad about myself because I realize that there's just something about knowing myself that I don't know yet. And that's where the acting out came from, whatever it was. And it reaffirms me to read this section because number one, it reminds me that I want to do all these things. I want to be honest and trust and, every one of these virtues or traits. I want them. And so just by the fact that I'm here working on it is good. It supports me. And also I have spent an awful lot of time trying to fix things that I have messed up. And I find that it's taken a while. Ho'oponopono. I don't know how to, always pronounce it, but it's taken me a while to realize that it is not mine to fix. That it's mine to learn from, to learn more about myself. Really, it's about myself. These are mirrors being held up to me, and they're really great opportunities, even though they're stinking painful a lot. And sometimes I feel embarrassed. I feel shame. I feel all those. But guess what? I don't feel them for that long because I'm remembering more and I'm learning more. And so, but I do think one of the biggest lessons that I have resistantly drag my feet on is not trying to fix things, but instead go in, love myself more, and know and really trust myself that I never intend to do harm. It pops out of me because of something I'm unaware of, and it pops out of me when I don't feel loved. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yeah, that beautifully said, Mitzi. Thank you. Yeah, it's when we're prickly that we just need more love. That's it. Leslie.
Thank you, everybody, for your share so far. Grace, you just reminded me, I loved your story, and I've certainly done that too, taken something back, because I just know I'll feel too guilty if I don't, but I just had a phone call this morning that I get these points from this thrift shop, and so many points, then you get like $10 off. Well, they haven't had point systems since June, and I've been very patient. I haven't been irritated. I've just accepted. I've just gone with the flow. Well, finally they have this new point system up. So I called the lady today, and she called me back like an hour later, and she asked me how many points I had, and oh, my heater just went off. Hang on. I have a little space heater, sorry. So I told her I had 166 points because I've saved all my receipts. I'm like, do I need to send in my receipts or anything? She's like, no, we're just doing this we're just trusting the people that call in. And she's like, and I'm going to give you an extra 50 points. And I was just like, wow, that was just so nice. And I had no attachment, no expectations. And sometimes we get it right, and it does feel good when we get it right. And sometimes we don't. And I love what you said, Linda, is like, when we don't get it right, it just means that we need a little extra love that day, and it's okay. So that was fun. I was very surprised. I was shocked. I thought I was gonna have to mail them in, and it was gonna be this big deal, and it was just effortless. Thank you, God. And Gwen, I don't know if you're still listening, but I just wanted to mention that even if you can't see or find any space for communicating, possibly if you can just be willing. I know that willingness just goes so far. And I loved what Linda said, that the angels will speak for you. I really feel that that's true. And we're all behind you, and we all love you, and we all know that you would never intentionally harm anybody. And I'm sure, at least for myself, I know I've been there before, and it's like, it's kind of like when somebody flips you off in the car and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know, whatever I did, I'm sorry. Like, oh my gosh, I just was a bad driver, So things happen, but God's in charge. God's got this, and it's for our good, even if it doesn't feel good. And Grace, I just also want to say, I've been thinking about you all week and sending you lots of love.
Thank you, Leslie. Go ahead, Grace.
Thank you, Leslie, for remembering that. That's the second young man that has taken his own life in my family in 2 years. So it was pretty shocking. And there's even a third one that I haven't told people about, more distant, that happened about 15 years ago. So I have been like challenged with feeling all kinds of stuff, and even guilty, and definitely blaming, judging. So that had to go. I had to do a lot of work on that. And fortunately, I decided to do Jennifer's spiritual counseling intensive, and that was amazing. I'll never say never again, because I'm like, no, I'm not going to do the counseling thing, and I'm not going to be a counselor, and I'm not planning on it. But it was such a great cause. It was just worth every penny and every moment. And it just supported me through that awful time of the funeral. I couldn't make it because in their religion, they bury as soon as they can. So the coroner released the body on Monday night, and the funeral was Tuesday morning. And I just couldn't make it from Oregon down there in time. So it was, so thanks for remembering that. And Linda, I just wanted to tell you that sometimes people are telling me stuff they're going through, and it's really hard for them. But I quote you all the time, and it always makes people crack up. Even this shit show is in my highest good. So anybody who's sort of feeling sorry for themselves, they just can't help it. It's just so funny. So keep up. You gave me another one today, flubbed up. What the heck is that?
It's my attempt at not saying the F word. Which I totally think is a great word.
Flubbed up. Yeah, very good. I'm going to be using that a lot.
I'm so glad, Grace.
Yeah. That was it was a tough time, and at the same time, when I thought, shall I tell my sister-in-law about this, because it was my daughter's stepbrother, and I thought, oh, my poor sister-in-law, she lost her own son just 2 years ago. I tried to phone her and she didn't pick up, so I thought, you know what, I'm not going to tell her. What does she need this for? It's just going to trigger. But she phoned me back, and she'd noticed in Facebook. So I told her, and then she gave me more details about her son. And it was just so shocking for me to take that in, that somebody could be feeling so alone, that could only be the possible choice that they have, to do that to themselves. That made it even worse for me, and we decided we wouldn't talk about the methods that these kids use with our own children, because it's so painful, and trying to make sure that other people don't talk about it as well, because the guys that my nephew Lee worked with, he took his own life at the workplace, and it was not nice. And he has 2 teenage boys, and I thought, that's just not going to help how they feel to know all those details. So I said to her, we really should. I'm going to go around and just check in with people and ask them not to share any details or discuss that, because it just made me feel so horrible that I can only imagine if that's your dad or your stepbrother, that's not going to help. But I did feel cradled in the arms of God all week, and I managed to keep myself pretty steady. And even that shit show is in my highest good, Linda.
Yeah, we never know. I mean, just hearing about the conversation that you had with your sister, maybe your intention was then not to share it with her, but how beautiful that you were able to hold that space for her, even though it was challenging for you to hear, because she's probably been holding on to that information and all the feelings around it for a long time. So what a beautiful gift you gave to her. And I'm so glad that we get to help support you so that you can be that support for the rest of your family. Yeah. And I agree wholeheartedly. The whole spiritual counseling intensive. Wow. If you get the opportunity, even if you have no intention of ever becoming a counselor, it was the best thing that I ever did for myself.
Yeah, have to agree, Linda, that I thought, oh, it can't be that good. I mean, how good can it be, right? I've heard everything Jennifer has to say, and I'm practicing to the best of my ability. But yeah, I think just the connection that you have with other people, because you do practice counseling sessions as an observer or a client or a counselor, and you just learn to put spirit there right in the middle of everything. And you also learn to just be quiet and listen.
Yeah.
Which, some people found that very hard to do because they wanted to give advice. So we had this great training on we're not going to give anybody any advice. In fact, we are here to heal ourselves.
Yeah. Exactly.
So even if you're, like I was thinking, oh no, at my age, I'm definitely not going to start counseling people and start a new business and all that stuff. I definitely don't want to be participating in Sundays with Spirit and doing those prayers and doing the presentation. No, but I have learned never say never.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a bit of money, but I thought, well, it's an investment in my life, in my spiritual progress.
Yeah. And another gift, not just to yourself, but to all of the people that you ever come in contact with.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
Linda.
Yeah. Thank you, Grace. Fabi.
Yes. Yes. I just wanted to say to Grace, because I took that training as well, and it was totally worth it. Me too. Like I thought maybe I'll take it. I wanted to take it, but maybe on the second year, I thought when I know more, and I'm like, when next year, I don't know if I'll have that time. I have that time right now, so I went for it, and it was really, really intensive. And Grace, you are a wonderful counselor, like so helpful. Every time you were my counselor, I felt absolved. Yes. Like innocent, like you did nothing wrong. You were so great at that. And thank you, Linda, for sharing that, because I am interested in getting that certification. And perhaps if not doing it full time, I would like to experiment on doing it on the side, at least while I gain that confidence to like do that for a living. If that's possible, that'd be great. So thank you for saying that is the best thing that you ever did.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. And honestly, what I learned from the spiritual counseling intensive, from the intensive that I did with my movement teacher, and from the trainings that I've done with my drum circle certification teacher as well. They're life skills. Yes, I use them in the work that I do, but I use them every day for everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Fabi, thanks. You're a great counselor, you know that, right? I told you already. But you're the only person in the whole world that's let me spill my guts out for about 40 minutes without saying a word.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever given me that gift. I just went on and on and on. And you just sat there.
Yeah, and the interesting is that you were not the only one. I realized that truly sometimes the client is just so desperate to speak their thoughts and their emotions and their whatever is in their minds, that sometimes you don't even have to say really, and sometimes it's not even that's not even necessary. It's just the listening and the opening of the heart. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you both, ladies. Leslie.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. It's so true. People just want to be heard. People just want some space to be heard. So true. And I don't know if this is a wrong thing to say, but I just want to talk a little bit more about the suicide. If somebody's in that much pain that they take their own life, I mean, part of me, not for the family, but for that soul, I'm personally happy that their pain has ended. Their pain has ended, and I totally believe that they are with God now. I don't believe the old school way, of what they used to think. I mean, they're with God now, and my heart just goes out so much to the people that are going to miss them, but for the person, I mean, you got to be in a lot of pain to do that. And that's one teeny silver lining, that at least their pain's ended now, It's tough. And I know, Linda, you've had friends that have had their kids and stuff. I just remember when I was younger, really quite young, because I had a babysitter and she was 16 and she killed herself with a shotgun. And that was my first introduction to it, and I just I was too young to really know much, except she wasn't going to babysit me anymore. And it was awful and shocking. And same old thing. We can't judge. We don't know anything. We don't know what's going on inside somebody else's head ever. But that's interesting about the spiritual counseling, because that's one thing I've said, oh, I don't need that. I'm never going to be a spiritual counselor. Interesting. Never say never, right?
Yep. Everything is for our good. Apparently, even suicide, or it wouldn't happen. And we don't know, what happens beyond this world. So who's to say that that was not for the highest and best? Not that you would go and say that to somebody that just lost someone that way, but we can hold the intention, like Leslie said, that wounded, suffering soul is with God, and that we are knowing that they are happy, that they are surrounded with love, that they are learning the lessons that they were meant to learn through their experience. So, yeah. Anybody else like to share anything?
Well, I don't want to take away any sorrow around that or anything that feels tragic, but I did love these expressions. And at the very end, it speaks of joy, and it brings the word gentle with it. And it's lifting me up to, sometimes joy is so ethereal, as all the spiritual qualities are. You really can't hold on to them in a physical way. And that's not either here nor there, but adding the word gentle to go along with joy makes it more accessible or real, because maybe I can't get to joy, but there's being more gentle towards myself and adding that to the kindness and to others and to situations. So I loved there was so many beautiful things in all of this, but I love joy because quiet joy is one of my little tools. And now to bring gentleness along with it just seems a way to soften the heart to our forgiveness and to the other, especially those that leave the planet. I imagine all of us have known someone who took their lives, and it was devastating for us. Devastating. So I can relate to that, and just wanted to end us up with joy or put it in the circle at least. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Robin. I know, and when I read in Gentleness, the line where he said the strength of gentleness, the strength of gentleness. And when I think about the strength of gentleness and how joy is the inevitable result of gentleness, because it means that fear is impossible. What comes to mind is Gandhi. What comes to mind is Martin Luther King. What comes to mind is, you know, a lot of the people that we look up to for how to be in the world, you know, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, the strength of gentleness. And again, that doesn't mean that you don't get angry or you don't want to complain or be a whiner or whatever. It just means that you're aware, and your go-to when you are in your right mind is gentleness. And that's what brings joy for others. And, you know, since there's only one, the joy that we bring to others inevitably comes back to us, just like, you know, Grace with her experience at the grocery store and Leslie with the points that she had at the thrift store. It happens all the time. So I'm grateful that we are more aware of the everyday miracles that happen in our lives these days, through the simple hour of coming together each week and talking about this. So I'm grateful for you guys. Thank you.
Linda, where was that line from, the strength of gentleness?
Well, the strength of gentleness is the second sentence in the last line of the section that's called Gentleness. And then I read the first two sentences in joy. Joy is the inevitable result of gentleness. Gentleness means that fear is now impossible. The open hands of gentleness are always filled. The gentle have no pain. They cannot suffer. Why would they not be joyous? They are sure that they are beloved and must be safe. Joy goes with gentleness as surely as grief attends attack. God's teachers trust in him, and they are sure his teacher goes before them, making sure no harm can come to them. Yeah. That doesn't mean we're happy all the time. It means we have that underlying sense of peace and joy. Yeah. Anybody have anything else they'd like to share? Go ahead, Nancy.
Linda,
Yeah.
can I talk for a second?
Yeah. Go ahead, sweetie.
I'm sorry I came in late, so I didn't hear what you were all talking about.
That's all right.
Got to go to my treatment in a little while. Actually, 7 more days and then I'm done. The day before Thanksgiving is the last treatment, a combination of radiation and chemo pills, which I tolerated better. But anyways, the thing that I wanted to say was, the last part I came in late, but everything you guys said My daughter, my daughter's first husband, he was a Green Beret, and he came back from the war. And anyways, he's the one, he took his own life. And that was just a bunch of years ago. But anyway, the other thing was, it occurred to me that, like, my other daughter became an alcoholic, when she was in the Marine Corps and everything and all that. And it was like, everybody was saying it's like, gave me the responsibility to fix her, get her, and I couldn't. And it was like, I was just surrounded by all this, anyways. And it's like that, I couldn't fix her. I couldn't help her. There was nothing anybody could do. When a person is, in, like, whoever said that, in that much pain, it's like, and Leslie said, people just want to be heard. That, I know that was what I needed in my entire life. And then when I was the chaplain intern, that's what I just listened to. The pastor taught us prayer. He said, you make biggest thing that you can do for people is just listen to them. And I proved him right. And that's all people, that's what I needed. And that's what I gave to everybody else. And it's like, you give and you get at the same time, giving and receiving. But anyways, when she passed away, she ended up in the hospital. And it's a long story, but anyways, Jesse called, her son, he flew from up here. He was up here it was in January, the end of January, 5 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long already. But anyways, I had let, you take the car and you go, we were only like 10 minutes from the hospital. So I said, he called me up and he asked me, he said, her heart had stopped twice. And the third time they wanted to know if they should, and I said, you do what you want. I said, no, I don't think that's what she would want. In fact, I know that's what she wouldn't want. So he said, okay, thanks, Grandma. So anyways, and then, he came and got me and went back. And I remember saying to her, I was standing on the other side of the room, her bed, and then I walked around and I just touched her hand and it was still warm. And I just said, where the thoughts came to me, I said, just go with God, go and be happy, go and have fun. You're with God now. I wish you could come back, but I know you can't. Just go and have fun with God. And that's what I told her. And I know she could hear me. So, and I don't know where the thought came from, but that's what it was. And it was like so peaceful. And it's like, I knew it was the right thing to say. And it was like, and whoever said, it's like, I knew she was out of pain. She was not suffering anymore. And that's what I told her. I just said, go and have fun. Now you can have fun. You're free. So simple and loving, and I don't think anybody else heard me, which is great, because then I didn't have to have any criticisms or judgments. And I didn't judge myself. So anyway, that's I'm done. So thanks for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy Gale, for sharing that story about your daughter.
Yeah.
I know that she's helping you through this thing with the chemo and the radiation too. That she is right at your side, getting you through this. And I'm so grateful that you are almost complete with that. And I'm just seeing Thanksgiving as being a celebration of liberation for you from this.
Yeah, I'm looking at that like that too, that way too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Linda.
Yeah.
And I didn't know you were in all that pain and all this time and everything. And I'm so glad for you too, and so happy, and
Yeah.
things are
Thank
turning out
you.
great.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Okay. Love you, sweetie.
Love you too, honey.
Okay, I'm done.
Does anybody have any last thing that they would like to share before we close out? All right. Well, next week, you know, I was looking at the end of this section and I'm just feeling like I don't want to cover all of it all at once because I feel like we can get so deep into each single one. So for next week, we'll do defenselessness, generosity, and patience. Patience is a virtue. Okay, and so that's what we'll do next week. And I look forward to seeing you then. What I'm going to read for us for today is my Pathways of Light insights for today's lesson for me, which is number 319. We're getting to the end. I came for the salvation of the world. How about that for a job description? I came for the salvation of the world means to me that I came to see everyone's innocence, including my own. Guilt is the ticket into this dream. It comes from believing separation is real, and this world is an image projected from the belief in separation. The ego's purpose for the world is to make separation seem real and keep it in place. Because it is impossible for separation to be real, this is a meaningless purpose. The only meaningful purpose could be to let go of this illusion and let my mind be returned to full awareness of the heaven that is my home. It is God's will that I be in heaven, and so it is his will that I return to full awareness of where I am and that I never left in truth. My true self shares this will. Thus, my only meaningful goal is to let go of the illusion of separation, which will show me the truth about everyone's innate innocence. It is arrogant to insist that this world of separation that my body's eyes show me is real because it is the denial of God's will. Eternal love, which is all of totality, cannot conceive of loss, lack, and death. It is my purpose now to let these false images go and to let go of belief that separation is real. As I awaken to the full recognition that I remain love as God created me, I become the salvation of the world. That is what I came for in truth. That is how I return home. Salvation's message is that I am dreaming a dream and that its content is not true. As I am willing to let go of the arrogance of the ego, the truth is there for me to know and understand. Behind the ego's false lies is the eternal, changeless love of God. It is my purpose to return to this awareness. It is my purpose to accept the truth. As I let go of false values, I see that only the truth is real. I want only the truth because it is my true identity. I came for the salvation of the world. I came to let go of arrogance and receive and give the truth. Now go and be the salvation of the world.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you, everybody. Love you so much.
Love you too. Thanks, Linda.
Love
Bye,
you all.
everyone.
Thank you.
Love
Thank
you
you.
guys. Will do.
Thank you. Have a good week.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you.